What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and this podcast is a personal documentation of my journey in real estate and business, while also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. January is coming to a close here soon, and recording this on January 24th, episode number 104. And, as we get this year rolling, we have 2 under contract and 1 set to close next week. That'll be a pretty quick, I don't know about a quick flip, but that will be another flip for us getting this year started, as we have court on Monday as well. And then we're going to be able to get into that flip here pretty soon. So hopefully we can get one rolling, and then a couple weeks after, we're going to get that second one rolling as that eviction takes place. And then we have another one under contract that my partner is going to be managing. The duplex is almost complete, and I have one on the market. So getting a little busy here in the beginning of the year, but that's good. That means we're making progress and we're still going after it, trying to get more. So, before we get into today's show, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where you'll stay up to date on what I'm doing daily. And if you go to figuringitoutfinance.com, you'll find all of the links to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And then if you're in the Charlotte area and you're a buyer, go ahead and sign up for my buyers list, because I'm going to be sending out all of the deals that we get that we're going to be wholesaling out or looking to sell. So with one of ours, we're going to be able to get in there. We hopefully should be have a couple people looking at it here soon. But today's episode is going to be what to do when your home isn't selling. So with my flip right now on the market, it's been on the market for about 3 weeks. And, I just keep looking at it every day and getting nervous. And, raising private money, I've been asked really good questions. And it's really forced me to think about how to invest safely and how to be flipping houses safely. And I actually got a text right before this asking, how are you buying your homes and keeping your investments safer? I don't think that was the exact question, but I'm like, well, I'm just buying them, where we need them, so that, in our worst case scenario, we can refinance out of them and just keep them. And I'm either going to break even or still make a little bit of money off of that deal. And that's really the biggest pitch that I can give, because, we look at so many houses trying to put together a flip, trying to negotiate, where we're just offering at our number. And, it's like, well, how do I, safely invest, limited on cash? It's like, I can't be taking those risks to where, I'm projected only to make, 10 to 15,000. To me, that's really, really thin. So we have to buy them a lot deeper. And by deeper, I mean at a lower number, have our renovations cushioned a little, to where, when we can finally build up that cash to be able to take a little bit more risk and start doing a little bit more volume. So right now, doing the flips, we're able to have that cushion where we're buying them and be able to refi out of them to where it's not going to hurt us. So, that's made me think about doing this episode, is what to do when your home isn't selling. Well, there's a couple things we're going through right now, and I just wanted to kind of walk through them. So first is figure out why it's not selling. So anytime an agent or someone walks your house, you should be asking them and hitting them up for feedback. So that is what my realtor and my partner's doing, is that anybody who books a showing, she's hitting them up and, getting feedback on the house, because you're like, oh man, why have we had 6 walkthroughs and nobody's made an offer? And, we've had 3 of them to where, the house just isn't what they're looking for, as in it doesn't suit their specific needs. Like, we had one where they're like, well, I don't think there's enough storage space. Or there's one that was trying to, have like a community house and rent by the room. And we're like, it could work like that. But, it's everybody is buying a house for a different purpose. So being able to have that constructive criticism, or, figure out it's like, oh, it's just not what you're looking for because I'm looking for something different than you. And that's just feedback. So figure out why that's not selling. And then it could be, so you'll have feedback on the walkthroughs. The price is another big one. So we listed this house at $400,000, and I thought, in the beginning, I think this is going to end up going around $375 to $380. So we've backed it down to $385 now, and I'm like, well, we're about at that limit to where I could just go do a refinance, and we're going to be able to pull out right about the same, and then I can get creative on how to make that cash flow. And that's not going to be hard with where the area is and all the construction that's happening. We're going to be able to rent that thing out or furnish it, so not even worried about it. So make sure your price is set accordingly. So if you have the funds to be able to sit on it for a couple months, then you can go and try and get your price. But if you're just looking for a quick sell, being able to drop that price, make sure it's priced correctly so that it sells a little bit quicker. And then what is the time of the year? So we just went through a presidential election, and then we're in the cold months. So something I've always heard in real estate is, it's going to be tougher to sell in November, December, and then January it starts to pick back up a little bit. So, North Carolina, we're in the teens this week on weather, but next week it's going to be 60. So the weather is starting to turn a little bit here and get out of this cold spell. So people are going to be more active and out and buying rather than hold up in their homes in the warmth. So that's another thing to think about too, and especially if you're in cold states and real estate's just not that good, maybe that's something to think about. But the biggest thing is don't just hope that it sells. You have to be considering all of these things: the feedback, the price, the time of the year, and all of the little things that you've done to this house. Because when I talk to homeowners and try and buy their home, it's a lot of, well, somebody could do this, and it's like, well, I have a completely different mindset than you, and I have completely different needs. So being able to make it your cute little home and then try and sell it as you had it, maybe it's just not going to sell that way. So another big thing that you can be doing to market the home is the Facebook group. So this is what I did before we had our last open house, and I put it out on Thursday or Friday, and right after that we got three showings and then a ton more views. So that was another reason why I did it. I'm like, let's just pump it out there. Let's get it in people's feeds. You could see the saves on Zillow went up, the views went up, and then the website or the clicks, we had a ton of clicks on it. So that's another thing to do, and that's something your realtor could be doing. So being able to get in, that city's group chat or real estate investors or agents and be able to post that out there, some pictures, the price, and then the links to the listing, you're able to, get that out a little bit more. So that is figuring it out why it's not selling and being able to market a little bit more. But what are those strategies to be able to say like, hey, it's been sitting, I can't wait any longer to pull money out because we're underneath the price that it's worth. So like on mine, we're starting to get close to that number to where I know we could get more if we do a refinance on it. So what is a cash out refinance? So a cash out refinance, you're able to pull out 80% of the equity's home and then be able to pull that out in cash. So let's just use the paid off scenario. So say your house is worth $200,000. Let's just say 250, even numbers, 20%. So you're able to take out 20% of that house's value out. So you're able to pull out $200,000 out of that $250,000 home. So you're going to get an appraisal. They're going to tell you what it's worth, and then they're going to be able to pull out 80%. So there are some fees and closing costs in there, but you're able to pull out 80%. So let's say you have $100,000 left on your mortgage. So then you'd only be able to pull out $100,000. So being able to consider that is when we're doing flips, we're adding value to the home. So that's why the purchase price is so important to us, because we need to buy it deeper to be able to, be able to refinance out of it, be able to pull money out of it. So I'm looking at this now for the home that I have. We're expecting it to be, let's just say $380,000. So, that's almost, so 380 minus 76. So we're sitting right above 300,000. Let's just round it to 300,000 for easy math. So 300,000 versus, or subtracting what we have left on that loan, and I believe that's 235,000. So we're going to be able to pull that money out of that house. It might be a little bit different for what am I trying to think of? For LLCs trying to pull it out, but if you're a homeowner, you're able to pull out 80% of that equity. So sometimes that's also a DSCR. I haven't done that, but what you're doing here, you're pulling that money out and being able to go back and reinvest. So then that home could turn into a rental, an Airbnb, or like I said, just a long-term rental. So there's so many strategies when your home isn't selling. And if you're a personal homeowner and just need cash, you have equity in it, I would consider doing a cash out refinance, because you're going to be able to pull money out and then you're going to be able to go use it on a new purchase. So this is what people do when they buy a live-in flip, is that they buy it at a low price because it needs quite a bit of work. They're able to live in it and fix it up as they go. And then in 2 years after living in it, they don't have to pay any taxes on that sale. But what you can do is after a year, you can do a refinance on it, pull that money out, and then go live in another house. So many different strategies, and that's just something that I'm thinking about as we kind of get a little bit deeper and that home sits on the market a little bit now. So, just going through that for the first time, because my first one, we were under contract in 2 days. So, just a different animal here, and that's going to come with experience. But I just wanted to be able to document that and push that through, if somebody's, looking at all of their options and flipping, whether it's a beginner or somebody who's been doing it for a while. So that's all I got for today's podcast, but I appreciate you tuning in to episode 104 of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and I will see you next week.